Hi again. Well, today we are going to talk about how to cut your food budget by making a $10 investment. Um, Oftentimes we think of the things we need in the here and now and what we have in the here and now. And part of this channel is going to be about thinking toward the future. So changing mindsets for where you want to be, changing attitudes and behaviors. And one of them is a simple $10 investment that you can still make right now. I bought some of these things actually in the fall, but I bought one thing in the fall. So everything else you can still get right now. This is being recorded in March. And all of these things I bought yesterday. And what I got was pepper seeds, like the vegetable, parsley seeds, a basil plant, and it's got a little holder. Same for tomato, strawberry, a bag of dirt, which I did not bring up here. That was $1.25 at Dollar Tree. Well, now it's a $1.25 tree. And then these two containers. I added it all up, and even with tax, all of it came under $10. Now, before we get into it too much, you're probably thinking, well, what's the point? Is it worth the hassle? Don't stop the video yet. I have some things to tell you about and maybe something you didn't think about. So, is it worth the hassle? You know, a can of green beans is only 50 cents. 44 is what I paid for this one at Aldi on Monday. And so why should I spend $10 on something I can get for 44 cents? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, it's not just 44 cents. You have the fuel involved in going and getting them if you run out. There's the sodium that is in the canned version versus the fresh. The fresh tastes better. But do you remember what happened to toilet paper 24 months ago? It's not that it didn't matter how much it cost. You couldn't find it. And we have never in America really had a scenario, unless there was a major natural disaster, where we could not get something. But we've seen issues with that. And I think it's something that would be really wise to consider. If you plant a few seeds now and you don't need them in 6 or 8 months, what are you really out? But if you get to where there is a shortage because of trucking issues or whatever of your canned green beans, what are you going to do about it? And this is particularly true for those of us who live, in Ohio in the winter or up north where you can't grow stuff outside. This is really easy and inexpensive, and you can do it in an apartment or you can do it in a big house. You don't need a big greenhouse to do it. Another reason why I think this is really effective is think about the victory gardens during the Second World War. And people taking care of themselves, not relying on government or another person or an entity to come in and handle things for us, but recognizing we need to make sure that we have what we need for our family, our friends and neighbors, and those we care about. And I think that's part of this too. Now, I have got a black thumb. I seem to kill everything that grows. And I still have done okay with this. So I think almost anybody watching this, if you try, you can do okay. The second reason is, although green beans and tomatoes are things that I like to point to as examples of why not to garden, the new Tiffany realizes that things like basil and parsley is actually an excellent thing to grow. I do grow both of these outside in the summer, and summer where we live is basically 3 months. But I looked up right before I hit record on this video, and right now at my local grocery store, a bunch of parsley, like a unit of parsley, is $1.29, and I paid 25 cents for these seeds. You can see it says 4 for $1. I paid 25 cents for these seeds. I paid $1.50 for these pepper seeds, and I paid $1.25 at the former Dollar Tree for this, and a bunch of basil, like a unit of basil, is between $1.99 and $3.49 at my local grocery store, depending on whether I want organic and if I want like just basically 4 leaves or if I want actually like a clump. So right there, if I get any basil off of this, I've already saved money, and it's right there. And how many times are you working on a recipe? I personally really like to make a lot of different kinds of like Italian things and Mediterranean things, and I always need basil and parsley. And if I have to up and drive all the way to the grocery and get that and come back, I'm going to find something else to buy. So it does save you money. Another thing is like the strawberries, something easy to grow inside. I realize it's a spreading plant. That's why I got this bigger planter. Okay, so moving on from that. Why do you choose not to? Think to yourself, why is it that I don't want to grow it? Are you afraid you're going to kill it? Are you going to go out of town? If so, these things are great. You fill them up, stick them down in the dirt, and the water slowly drains out. So if you're a person who travels a fair amount, that would be useful for you and could keep your plants growing. The fourth reason, and this is the thing I really want to focus on, especially those of us who have a little bit more space, are able bodied, have some extra time. I'm an empty nester now. It's just my husband, my dog, and I. Our kids are all adults and living out on their own and doing well independently because they listen to mom. Um, if you really don't want to do it for yourself, consider doing the starts now for your neighbors or people you care about. Maybe some people who might not have time, because buying starts are really very expensive. You know, if you go to your local store, you're going to pay a couple bucks a piece for them. Well, if I can get a packet of seeds that I can tell have way more than 3 inside of this, I can do the starts and get a little pot. And for a couple of bucks, I can bless a friend or a family member or a neighbor or an elderly person who might really benefit from having these things in their house. So part of this channel is about getting our focus off of ourselves and thinking about what we can do now to, remember what I said at the beginning, help us and those we care about be prepared. So I am preparing this not only for myself, but to have things to pass on to my responsible girls who have full-time jobs and going to college and those kind of things and don't necessarily have the extra time or think about doing these kind of things. And if we do get into a time where there is lack, I can transplant one of my tomato plants into this with some of the dirt that I bought, and I can give it to them, and I know that they're taken care of. So even if you don't want to garden, think about this mind shift. The way things are isn't how it will always be. Again, think toilet paper. You might not always be able to just run to the grocery store and grab what you need. Be the kind of person that your future self will be grateful that you are right now. Consider going to your local store, investing $10 in your financial health and the financial and physical health of your friends, neighbors, and loved ones. So I'd love to hear your ideas on what you can do to help other people, maybe some gardening tips for those of us who tend to kill things. And I will see you in the next video.